Hi everyone, and welcome back. This is Mindy for Lawnfawn, and in today's card project, I'm going to be doing a little stenciling and a little stitching on my card. The supplies I'm using today are the Lots of Stars stencil, the embroidery hoop star and embroidery hoop dies, and then Sewn with Love stamp set. I'm going to start by ink blending my background first, so I took a little bit of repositionable tape, placed it on the back of my white 80-pound cardstock so it would secure down to my grid mat, and then I just picked out one of the stencils because the Lots of Stars is a two-piece stencil. I'm just using one of them and secured that down with some Post-it tape. Now what I wanted to do here was add a rainbow of color kind of going in almost a circle around my card front, but I didn't want it to fill up the entire card front. So that first color I did was a bubblegum ink. Then I'm going to come in with a fake tan, and I'm going to each time kind of blend into the next color so it has a really nice pretty transition. The next color I'm bringing in is sunflower ink, and one thing I really want to point out is I am not cleaning off my brush when I'm done using it. There's going to be a purpose to that later on. So here I'm adding that yellow and kind of stretching it out a little ways because I want it to overlap with the peacock. Now peacock I had to be really careful with. I didn't want to pick up any of that orange ink that's on there from the fake tan because that's not going to look very good. So I'm just being a little bit mindful of that. And you'll notice as I'm blending, I'm kind of trailing off. So it's not going completely to the edge. I'm having it kind of fade off into white. And then this last color here is the grape soda. After I finished off with the purple on the top, I can peel back my Post-it tape and remove my stencil. Now this, it's okay looking, but I think what I really love is going back over some of those areas with my blending brush. So I'm using that leftover ink that's on there, and it's the perfect amount because I don't want it to be really dark behind the stars. I just want to add kind of that hue of color. So I went through the pink, the orange, the yellow, bring in what's left on my blue brush, and then finishing off the top with the purple. Once again, not taking this color all the way to the edge. I'm leaving kind of that fade off to the edge look. So I think this is looking really good right now, but I want to step it up, and this might scare some people. I am taking some Black Soot Distress Spray Stain. I'm adding a little bit onto a silicone mat. I added a couple drops of water, just mainly to wet my brush, and then I can pick up that black ink. I tap off a little bit first before coming onto my card. I just have a cardboard box or a splat box here to help catch the splatters, and then adding the black splatters on top of it. Normally I go for white splatters, but I thought the black was a really nice change up and a great pop onto my background. I'm going to die cut my pieces. I have the top of the hoop die cut from some metallic gold cardstock, the actual star design from a 110-pound white cardstock, and then the embroidery hoop itself from paper bag cardstock. I'm going to use my craft pick to just help pop out those holes in my star pattern, and now I can start stitching. So my thread here is actually 3 strands of thread that I have threaded through my needle. I'm going to kind of go through one of the holes, and on the back of my pattern, I'm going to hold that end down with some tape. So I don't usually do knots. I usually tape my ends down, and then I can start working on my stitching design. So the way I started it is I am coming in from the left side and the right side of each of those peaks of the stars and meeting in the middle. And I'm going to continue to do that all the way around. But one thing I did want to point out that I did was instead of continuing from the middle, I went back up to the next peak. So here at the top there, I started in from the left-hand side, went in towards the center, go to the right, and then go into that same center. And I'll continue that down. I kind of was confusing myself to make it look even. It ends up giving me a really cool design, but I am no stitching expert. I personally need to go watch some of Shari's videos because she is fantastic at stitching. I'm just kind of making it up as I go and what looks good to me. And if I mess up, I can just take the thread out. So it's actually a lot better than paper crafting because you don't have to get a new piece of cardstock. So here you can see there was that really cool kind of star pattern in the center that I didn't expect. So on the back of this, because I was running out of thread, I went ahead and I cut another piece of tape. This is the best ever craft tape. Any type of tape will work. I'm just going to pull my thread and try and have it so it's not going behind any of my holes. I didn't want you to see it from the front. And then I can just trim off any excess. And then here, now I'm going to go up the star so I can complete a stitch going all the way up each star. And then I'll also go around and do the outline. As far as the thread that I'm using, I unfortunately don't know what exact color this is or what number it is, but it's just a regular kind of golden yellow type of color thread. So now I'm just finishing off going around that outer edge. I can secure it in the back with my tape, and now I have this beautifully finished hoop. So I will be honest, I struggled through it a couple times. I did take my thread out a couple times, but I'm really happy with the end result. So I added liquid glue behind my hoop that I die cut from paper bag cardstock, secured that down, and I'm adding a couple dots of that liquid glue behind my hoop piece at the top, and then I can just place that over the screw that goes at the top. So I'm just going to let that sit and dry for a moment while I work on a sentiment. My sentiment is going to come from the Sewn with Love stamp set. I love this because it just fits perfectly. And also this word sew has a coordinating die. And I am a huge fan of words that have coordinating dies. So I stamped that in black licorice ink. And now I'm going to stamp the word amazing. But for this one, I am going to heat emboss it. So I have a black cardstock there that I prepped with an anti-static powder tool. I'm inking up the word amazing in the Yeti pigment ink. And then I will sprinkle on my white embossing powder, tapping off any excess. And then I can melt that embossing powder with my heat tool. Now that everything is stamped and heat embossed, I can use that coordinating die to die cut out the word sew, and I also die cut it 2 more times from white cardstock, and I'm trimming out the word amazing into a thin strip. I'll then go ahead and layer together my extra pieces using the liquid glue and tweezers, and if I happen to get too much glue on the back, I can just dab it off on that scratch paper that I have here, just making sure that my stamped one is the one that is on top. For my hoop that I have my star stitched on, I'm adding thin foam squares in between the stitching, and then I can add this to the front of my card. So I'm going to make sure that's just centered, and then I can go ahead and add the word sew. That's going to go right underneath, kind of. I'm trying to keep my sentiments fairly even with the edges of my hoop. So I added the word sew with the liquid glue, and then I put black foam squares behind the word amazing. And then I'm going to call that good. I really love how this turned out, and I love how that star stencil background matches my star in the center, and it was really fun to stitch that star. I hope you enjoyed today's card inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me.